But I feel like if you're gonna write a review only based on the first 5 episodes, you should at least assume that at some point that person is going to come into play. And if you don't assume that, then you've never watched anything. What's up, guys? Welcome to Boss Level 8, where we make fun of movie critics. We just watched Jessica Jones Season 2 on Netflix, and we have a review from Darren Franick that we're going to take a look at. I've never seen this before, so you're looking at it with me for the first time. I'm really curious what he's going to say. He kind of looks like if Fred Savage's brother tried to beat him up, he would win. We also used him and read his review for The Punisher, and it was kind of ridiculous, so we're expecting just as ridiculous, if not more. I have a feeling it's going to be more. The first season of Jessica Jones felt like a bold departure from Marvel's pocket universe of New York shows. At the end of 2015, we were coming off a couple extremely dispiriting superhero narratives. I think that's the problem immediately with your approach, is that you're watching the Netflix shows like you're getting a normal superhero. They clearly, like from the gate, we're not doing that. If you want some spandex shit, you go to the movies. That's why they put this stuff on Netflix, to make it darker and not spiriting. There was Ant-Man. Oh, you're not even talking about well, shit. All right. I thought you were talking about the Netflix stuff. Okay. How was Ant-Man dispiriting? There was Ant-Man, which made a joke out of not letting the Wasp be the Wasp until the goddamn post-credits scene. Yeah, because the movie was called Ant-Man. Now this movie's called, that's coming out, it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, because now she's the Wasp. Seems to make sense to me. Like, Batman came out, and then Batman returned, and then Batman and Robin, because Robin showed up. It's pretty clear. If they called it Batman and Robin and he never showed up, we'd all be happy. And there was Avengers: Age of Ultron, which walked Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow into a bizarre, uncomfortable, kinda dumb conversation about fertility. Weird takeaway from that movie, okay. Whereas Jessica Jones was just casually set in a land of women. A powerful lawyer, a former child star struggling to be taken seriously, a nihilistic loner struggling to be left alone. Sure, that's 3 women. I agree with that. But I also would say that, like, her assistant was a dude. You know, Purple Man in the first series was a dude. One of the doctors is a dude. There's another person, like this Wizard was a guy. Luke Cage is in the series in the first season, and like, he's just, like, there were guys. It's not like they just took out all the guys. Also, it's not that weird to have a show where the woman is a protagonist. The 13 episodes of the second season are all directed by women, and they're trying to display that women can do anything that we can do, because usually they're not getting paid as much as us, and we're kind of ruling all this shit for absolutely no reason. I wouldn't say it's casual. I say it was very fucking much on purpose. But just now, the Marvel Netflix operation is in a strange place. Last year's out-and-out flop Iron Fist led into the bland team-up The Defenders, and then the pointless Punisher. I guess because he doesn't have like a major plot point in all of the lore? I don't know, and it wasn't like leading up to Defenders, but to call it pointless. You might even say that like anyone having a season 2 except Daredevil is pointless. Actually, you might even say Daredevil season 2 is pointless. They didn't need it for Defenders. Literally, like, any of this shit is pointless. Yeah, we don't even need Netflix. We used to have to, like, rent video, which failed to figure out a convincing way to sanctify a character whose 4 main defining traits are guns, 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 and more guns. Yeah, so this actually goes back to your Punisher review, in which you completely and utterly didn't get the character or the development whatsoever, and just saw him as a dude who had a bunch of guns, and that's it. Which is not what they were doing. They were showing his PTSD, they were showing other people's PTSD and struggles that they were going through to make you understand why someone would do what he did. And the fact that you didn't get that makes me excited to see what you're gonna say about Jessica Jones right now. The first 5 episodes of Jessica Jones reflect the very long movie problem. The feeling that you're watching a 2-hour plot idea overstretched to absurdity. Characters are constantly stating their motivations or having their motivations stated to them by other characters. Like, I agree that it's a fair point that a lot of times the plot and people's motivations are said in these shows, as they are in most shows and most movies. But in the case that you're basing it on a comic book, I'm never mad about that. Because in comic books, they literally say what they're doing while they're doing it. You can't get upset about the fact that they're taking things off of a page and doing it somewhat similarly. if you really wanted it to not be that and to be something so much more, then you probably shouldn't watch a show about a girl who ends up with superpowers at all. There's one character, an antagonistic figure for Jessica, who spends the first 5 episodes constantly walking through doorways and around corners, threatening to do stuff, but never actually doing stuff. Yeah, foreshadowing's weird. He does end up doing stuff, like things do happen. And I understand that the critics were only given the first 5 episodes, but I feel like if you're gonna write a review only based on the first 5 episodes, you should at least assume that at some point that person is going to come into play. And if you don't assume that, then you've never watched anything. You're a ticking time bomb, he tells Jessica, before adding, you blame your family for getting killed in an accident. I almost burst out laughing at that line. The guy's attacking our hero with a backstory grenade, like if Spider-Man's villains fought back with old Polaroids of Uncle Ben. The whole premise of Batman, the entire premise of a lot of superheroes, is people fucking with what happened to them that made them this way. In fact, the villain from the first season was literally there just to fuck with her and bend her to her will and make her do horrible things that would, 1, make her have this horrible past, but 2, reflected the horrible past that she had. You shouldn't be upset about that. Also, this is the second time we've read your review, and I'm just getting more and more worried as to why you write these and how you got this job, because it doesn't make any sense that you can pick things apart in this way and come up with the conclusions that you do at all. This one's less funny and more like, what is wrong with you? If season 1 was about Jessica grappling with her horrific recent past, season 2 is about her struggles to understand her distant past. Yes, it's a deep dive in her Psy origin story. See, this is the thing that pisses me off, is that if there wasn't a deep dive into the origin story, you'd be like, there was no character development. And then when there is a deep dive into the origin story, you're like, fuck, another origin story? That's very upsetting and a derivative, or whatever you fucking critics say. Clues arrive with howling efficiency. At one point, Jessica's trying to get onto a computer, but the computer requires a username password. But wait, don't worry, they're both written on a post-it note hanging from the screen. Yes. That happens in every movie, in every show. Also, that's what anyone over the age of 45 actually does in the real world. No one's like super safe with their passwords. But I mean, how many things have you watched where someone needed the keys to the car and they just went like that and the keys fall into their lap and they're like, sweet, I get to start this car now. Like, that's okay. Like, that's totally fine. But I mean, come on. We can accept like Jack Nicholson ending up in a relationship with someone like way hotter than him. You know, like that's cool. Like that's totally understandable. Mel Gibson was in What Women Want. Let's be honest, that's not a thing. Also, if everyone was so safe all the time, then Facebook wouldn't be able to figure out what you're talking about right now. Go check. They know. You get that it's supposed to be a joke, like Indiana Jones bringing a gun to a sword fight, but all the mystery stuff floats along like that. Yeah, I mean, because it's not really a mystery, and it's also not really a superhero movie, and it's also not really like a gritty drug drama. It's a bunch of things that are together being stylized in a manner that gives it its own tone. It's fine if you don't like the tone, but that's what gives it its tone. And Jessica herself, the good news is she never mentions the Defenders, just like the rest of us. Although earlier you mentioned it. The bad news is that in these first 5 episodes, Ritter looks bored, or drunk, or Jessica Jonesy. This is part of the character's appeal, maybe. How she yeah. It's so annoying how when I read someone's review who like gets paid for this shit, I have to make it almost all the way through the review to figure out that they actually got why people watch it and just didn't enjoy it. Like, your bloated opinion is that you didn't like it, and you try and come up with reasons why you didn't like it, but then all that ends up happening is your reasons that you didn't like it are reasons why other people do like it. That's really annoying. Stop it. Stop it. How she looks a little over her own cinematic universe. Well, I mean, she doesn't look like she doesn't want to be in the show. But Jessica Jones certainly isn't like a happy individual who's like super stoked about her life. So if it's about like whether or not she wants to be around, like, she had a lot of shit happen to her and she drinks all the time, so clearly there's an issue with what's going on. But the show keeps trapping Jessica between lone wolf swagger and lonely regret. She's never allowed to say one cool line without immediately looking sad, and at a certain point, that's her only real reaction to anything. Cool tough line, sad stare, cool tough line, sad stare. Yeah. Have you ever met an alcoholic who needs anger management? It's pretty fucking similar. Her mental issues are being displayed. That's a major part of her character, but I'm upset about it because she's not flying around in a cape. She did don the spandex at one point, and they made a reference to it in the season 1, but she doesn't like that shit because of how she actually is. Leave her alone. Which could seem like sensitive storytelling, given the layered tragedies in Jessica's life. Yes, and I don't really know if it's sensitive storytelling, it's just storytelling. No one really has to be sensitive to Jessica Jones, she's fake. I guess you can be sensitive to people who are going through similar things, but I don't know how many people who, like, their entire family died in a car crash and then they ended up having superpowers. But there's something unconvincing in how this season forces Jessica into her own muck. She literally puts pictures of her dead parents up on her wall. And there's something repetitive in how this season keeps cycling back to the idea that Jessica needs to just learn the value of teamwork, man. Yeah, she does put pictures up and death certificates and has the ashes of her family because she has to confront her past and be able to get through the grit of doing the work so that she can figure out what happened. She even puts her sidekick guy, who is part of her team work man, she even makes him go and do something that resurfaces his past so that he can do the same thing. It's something she feels actually has to be done in order for her to do her job well, and uncover all the stuff that she has to uncover. It's just what it is. No one actually wants to apologize to people in the 12-step program. It's what they have to do to get through their shit. The recent Marvel Netflix entries are starting to feel one note, gritty in the most market-tested sense of the word. Mature content peddled with immature abandon. There is a hooker orgy in Jessica Jones, much longer and druggier than the hooker orgy in 2013's The Wolverine. So, like, progress? Yes. If we could be more accepting and open about hooker orgies, then yes, I feel like we've made some progress here. And there's this one line where a new character, a dashing journalist, tells Jessica that he suspects something strange is going on. Why? My balls are tingling, he says. Jessica describes this as his scroty sense. Scroty sense. Claw that memory out of all our brains, please. I feel like you've never hung out with anyone who tries to say something funny, because that sounds like something one of my friends or other people's friends or just random people you might meet in a bar. Oh, did we mention she drinks? Someone you might meet in a bar might say, if you said my balls were tingling and that's why you knew something, I feel like at some point someone would say scroty sense. It might lead up to it. Someone might start with like ball vision or like testy telepathy or I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like you don't want dark, you don't want grit, and you don't want the things in this universe to be the things in this universe, so you just shouldn't watch this show. And honestly, I don't care if you think it's bad. You think it's bad for all of the reasons that the people who watch it like it. So just don't watch this show. Watch something else. Maybe something with a little less blue and purple tones and some like bright colors. Just put primary colors on your screen and stare at it for 15 minutes. You'll probably get more enjoyment out of it than watching the second season of Jessica Jones, because clearly that's the kind of thing you're looking for. That one's yellow. Well, we weren't wrong. Punisher review was dumb. He even brought it up. And now the Jessica Jones review is dumb. He just doesn't like these and he shouldn't watch them. It sucks that critics get paid to the point where they have to watch things that they just shouldn't be watching or reviewing. And I wish they could be in some manner objective, but no. That being said, we'd love to hear what you think of Jessica Jones Season 2 or just the show in general. Let us know down in the comments. Also, let us know what you thought of this review. Subscribe if it's your first time here, and until we see you next time, geek out and game on.